But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That's right, Brett Walsh. You got to execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win. Welcome back, boys and girls, to the 9x9, the 81 square meters of the best volleyball coverage on the internet. My name is Everett Delorme, says Everett as he switches his. You got it on your back there?
Did you just say your name is Everett Delorme?
Yeah, I was so used to listening to you doing the intro that I said my name was Everett Delorme. That couldn't be more wrong. Your name is Everett Delorme, live from Toronto. My name is Rob St. Clair, live from Chicago. This is episode 45. It's November 29th, 2022. And Everett, stop me if you've heard this one before, but Imoco Conegliano won the Italian Women's Supercup. That's not exactly breaking news. Is it 2018? Is it 2019? Is it 2021? How many years in a row have they won this thing? Here we are again. Conegliano wins the Supercup again. Another year, another trophy.
We've talked about it the past few weeks, Rob, about how there's certain clubs that don't do things right.
Yep.
And there's certain clubs that just can't seem to get it together. And undoubtedly, no matter who they have on that roster, that organization in Conegliano is meant to win, like top to bottom. And you can tell how they build the team. You can tell how they treat the team. And this was just another perfect example of that. And so far, the start of the season has been a perfect example of that. In my opinion, they're hands down the best team still in Italy. There's been a lot of turmoil underneath them. A lot of teams kind of looking around, but consistently Conegliano has been the best team, and they've got rosters for days. They've got different looks. They've got depth. Like, especially with how much turmoil is going on in the Turkish league. Like, I fully expect Conegliano to make a deep run in the CEV Champions League this year. And this Supercoppa win was the perfect example, the perfect statement to that Conegliano, doesn't matter that they lost to Gonu, they're still one of the best teams in the world.
Yeah, I'm really interested about this Conegliano team because they're obviously the best team in Italy, but they really are peaking, starting to really play great volleyball in meaningful competitions, meaningful domestic matches, and here in the Super Cup right before the Club World Championship, which is in about 2 weeks for the women. And that's going to be kind of our appetizer where we, for the first time, we're going to get Conegliano, we're going to get Itzaja Basha and Vakif Bank there. We're going to get a little bit of that preview of what Champions League in April and May might look like when we get there. And I'm really excited to see that because I honestly think there's a case for Conegliano still being the best team in Europe right now. They are the only team that really hasn't been touched so far this regular season, and they have done it convincingly, and they've done it in a lot of different ways. Like you said, they have depth. They've got a lot of options on the wings. They've got 4 excellent options at outside hitter. Catherine Plummer was good in this match against Novara. By the way, Conegliano beat Novara 3-1. I mean, you got Catherine Plummer, you got Kelsey Robinson, you got Alessia Gennari, who's a really useful domestic outside hitter if you need an Italian for the foreigner limit. You got Alexa Gray, of course, who's barely even played this year because that's how deep they are at outside hitter. And they're only going to get deeper in the middle. That's a little bit of an area where I've wondered exactly what they're going to do. They've got a couple different characters that have rotated in and out, but if Sarah Farr can get back healthy again, then that's just another piece that'll make them even scarier. Joanna Volosh won the MVP of the Super Cup. She was awesome. And Isabel Hawk, like what weaknesses are there on this Conegliano team? I feel like we've said this for 5 straight years.
It's going to take a really phenomenal effort from any of these Italian teams to dethrone Conegliano, I think. Like the gap is a lot closer on the women's side than it is on the men's side. We're going to talk about Perugia and the rest of the bedlam that is the Superliga later, but still right now, Conegliano is 100% the best team in Italy, and they're just trucking along. I do think that there's a handful of teams that have the ability to knock them off. I don't think a perfect season. Have they lost yet this year? No, they
haven't lost yet this year, but I agree with you. I don't think there's a perfect season in the cards.
I don't think there's a perfect season in the books. There's too many good teams. There's too many good athletes. This season is far too long. And we're not even talking overall. Like, we're just talking in the Italian league, Lega Volley at the moment. They're, Champions League and Club World Championships is another thing altogether. One thing I have to say about the Club World Championships, though, our favorite tournament to hate on, how bad does it say that the Club World Championships the world championships for clubs is a preview for the regional championships. Like it's
Great
just
point.
like kind of that preseason tournament vibe. It's like the preseason tournament of all the elite teams. Go to Brazil, get a little bit of sun, stretch your legs a little bit, get to see all your friends on the other good teams, and hey, you guys from Turkey, you guys from Italy, yeah, we'll see each other again in April and May in the Champions League. But yeah, Conegliano, hands down the best team. They're really good right now. Volleyball, I remember at one point you called her the best setter in volleyball, and I laughed at that, and I think that was dumb to laugh at that now, because the way she runs this team is so efficient. And like you're seeing now, you're really truly seeing the magic that is Volleyball when you're seeing how Ogonu is struggling everywhere else. She's struggling with Alessia Gennari with the national team, right? Not having the results that they're looking for. She's struggling when she goes to Vakufblank with Ozbe Kansu. So you're really starting to see, like, Volleyball is really starting to look really, really good right about now, that she was able to have all of that success with Ogonu when other people haven't really been able to find that.
Yeah, I mean, just talk about this particular match a little bit more, Conegliano versus Novara. We had a comment in the chat. The thing was, that wasn't even Conegliano's best game, and they still figured it out and won pretty convincingly, and I agree. I wouldn't say that was Conegliano's best game. I think they've got a lot more great volleyball in them, and it's things like that, like you said on the onset, Everett, teams and clubs that are built top to bottom to be successful, are built the right way, have that successful and winning pedigree. It's impossible to deny that Conegliano is one of those, because when they get into moments like this, when they're not playing their best volleyball, they figure out a way to win. I mean, Isabel Haak was fine, 19 for 44, 4 errors, 43% kills. That's not an otherworldly stat line. They had to rotate in and out a couple outside hitters, a couple middle blockers. Catherine Plummer overall was very good, including in reception, so that's a promising area. And on the Novara side, I mean, Karakurt, 13 for 41 with 6 errors, not even close to good enough. They're still really struggling for a second outside hitter. But that's kind of what I mean. If you get into a weird sloppy match where it's a lot of out-of-system balls, a lot of slapping the ball around, trying to get touches, Conegliano can win there. If you're talking about an in-system battle where Volleyball really has control out of the offense and she needs to get a lot of one-on-ones, they can win there. They certainly can. If they get into a serving battle, I think they have the firepower to win there with Isabel Haak's jump serve and Plummer, a pretty underrated server as well. They can definitely win there. There's a lot of different ways this Conegliano team can beat you.
Yeah, this Conegliano team is fantastic. Can we talk about Navarro though for a second?
Sure,
because
of course.
Karakurt is, I think, like, this team has some issues. There has been some rumors. Can we dive into the rumor mill real quick?
Yeah,
because it's being rumored right now, coming out of Turkey, apparently, that Michelle Barch is potentially looking to make a comeback to professional volleyball and is potentially eyeing going back to Novara. She did play there, I think it's about 2019. So do you think the addition of Michelle Barch to this squad, which is already really damn good, makes Novara a little bit more relevant?
I definitely think it does. I think that would be a really good move. That move makes a lot of sense. Barch has been out of volleyball since the Champions League win last year with Vakufbank. She took, I think, her national team career is probably over, and she was stepping back from the club. But I kind of like this move. We're starting to see a handful of players do this, especially really older and established ones. Just take a step back. Don't go through the chaos of like being recruited all in the off season, and wait until 2 or 3 months into the year to see where there's need and jump on a good team. I don't hate that at all. This Novara team is desperate for an outside hitter while Mackenzie Adams is hurt. And I don't know exactly how long she's going to be out for, but they need a player, just somebody at the outside who has been there before. And I don't know if Barch is really the style type that they need. I think they need more of a scorer across from Bossetti. But regardless, Michelle Barch-Hackley is a winner, and that will help no matter what team you put her on. She will certainly help over this Kenia Karsase's character, who's been playing outside hitter for Novara, who I really know nothing about, to be honest.
No.
So if they can make that happen, if they can bring Barch in and not even have to play her every match, especially if Adams comes back, Novara's chances to make a run in both Italy and Champions League definitely increase.
Yeah, for sure. Coming in from the chat right now, MBH is a rumor. What is confirmed is that they offered Herbots a deal to come back. Now, Gussie Pussy, 1995. Is that like, I mean, like that's a best for next year, but if it's true at all.
No chance they could do that in the middle of the year. I mean, Firenze put in all that work to get Herbots in the offseason, and Novara didn't even play Herbots most of last year. They sat her
Yeah.
on the bench behind Nika Dollarop, and look at what's happening there now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a big joke. I mean, I really don't like the makeup of this Novara team right now, especially with kind of what's happened throughout the Italian league, apart from the Supercoppa. Like, yeah, I think it comes back to this. Conegliano's the best team, and everyone else is just going to be fighting for second place, in opinion, unless one team can bring it together. But so far, no one has.
Fair enough. Let's take a look at the standings, look at a little more generally around the Lega Volley Femminile while we are here. A lot going on. Obviously, Conegliano at the top, just like Everett said, winning their, I checked it out, 5th Supercoppa in a row. Every Super Cup tournament since 2018, Conegliano has won. Let's see. So they're undefeated at the top, but there's a lot going on right behind them. Molonza, as we've decided to call them, the mashup of Milano and Monza. We're going to call them Molonza, and you guys are going to have to deal with it. So just get on board. They're in second place at 8-1, but a full 8 points behind. Now I know Conegliano's played one more match, but they really have separated themselves. Scandici, Novara, and Chieri, those other kind of 3 teams in that pack of 4 that are fighting for what's going to be playoff seeding down the line. Let's take a look at matches that happened over the weekend. Only kind of a couple notable ones that I looked at, Everett. Bustor Sitio. You talked about them. Big one. You talked about them a week or two ago, saying, I mean, they were second to last for a while, but they're still a team that can make a run. Sure enough, they come out and beat Scandici in 5. Pretty impressive move there for them to jump up the standings.
I haven't watched this game at all, but I'm going to be really interested to go back and watch. And I'm really going to start watching Carly Lloyd because I think that she's starting to find her rhythm again. Like, she's taken some time off from professional volleyball. She had a kid, and regardless of how good you are, there's always going to be a little bit of a returning process to the game. And I think that's kind of what we're starting to see here in this one, because you're starting to see that offense spread out a little bit. Like, Rosa Maria isn't getting away, like it's spread out a little bit more. They're not just banking on Rosa Maria anymore. And I think that Carly Lloyd is really starting to get into the rhythm of things over there in Busto.
Yeah, I commentated a match of theirs a week or two ago against Pinerolo, who's the worst team in the league. But as Carly Lloyd is still like tried to get back into the swing of professional volleyball, like you said, she didn't start the first 5, maybe 6 games of the season. She looked really, really good in that one, and I loved Busto's offense, and I was confused as to how they had struggled that much so far this season. And sure enough, they hit 40% kills as a team against Scandici compared to 29% kills as a team for Scandici. Like, their offense overall was significantly better without a little bit of that firepower that you could argue Scandici has an advantage in. I mean, let's see. Rosa Maria, good, 31%. That's fine. Alice De Gradi, good. Lova with Armaruri, really good, 13 for 30. Pretty good in the middle all the way around. And 16 blocks as a team for Bustor Sitio is a huge difference.
That was massive, and you can see it on the numbers on the other side for Scandici, only hitting 29% as a team, and that's include another 13 errors and 16 blocks. That's 0% efficiency. Right? They couldn't even be positive. That's exactly 0% efficiency. Like, that's straight up 0 for Scandici, and it really looks bad on the right sides right now. Antropova, like Mingardi, not great at the beginning, and then Antropova not really great after that. She went like 11 for 34. So what should be like a very strong area of the court right now for Scandici, she kind of got letting them down in this one.
Yeah, another point in the chat, Scandici does not have a reliable spiker who can pull them through during struggle. That's basically true. They're missing that top 4 or 5 opposite in the world that very few teams have. I mean, Hawk, Egonu, Boskovic, and then like past that you get to Stisiak, Karakurt sort of tier. I expected a little more out of Camila Mingardi this year, coming over from Bustor Sitio. Ironically, she just hasn't been good enough so far, and they kind of need a player like that to hit some high balls.
Well, that's the thing is that you see that you don't have that like go-to player, and to me, like Mingardi isn't at that quality of a Boskovic or a Gon or an Isabel Hawk, but she has this like bulldog mentality to her, and you have
Right.
so
She's a
much else,
fireball.
and you have so much else quality around her. Like you have Zhu Ting and Pietrini on the outside. Like Pietrini is definitely in for the serve receive there in the Italian quota, but she's still fantastic. You got Haley Washington down the middle, like. It should be enough to open some things up for them. And in those tough situations, just chuck it to Mingardi because she's going to take a chew at it no matter what, even if it's like 10 feet off the net, right? So that's why it's kind of surprising me. I know that she does kind of go, she's usually pretty good, but she does kind of go through these things. But man, Scandici is just there's just so many question marks for me for the second level of teams in the women's league, and it's awesome. I love it.
It is awesome. The chaos is really, really fun. I agree. I mean, before we move on, we got to ask what the heck's going on with Ofelia Malinov. I mean, she starts the first set, gets benched. She plays terrible. Team just has a lot of uncertainty around the setting position. And I remember when you and Tommy did the preview for the women's league, Tommy was making the argument that he prefers Malinov to Alessia Oro in terms of the Italian national team.
Yeah.
Right now, it would be completely impossible to have that take. There's a lot of
she can't even stay on the court. Like
right, she can't stay on the court. What's going on?
Yeah, 100%. Honestly, like I want to go back and watch this one. If everyone's got a good hookup for women's league volleymetrics, for me to check that out, I would love that.
I would like that too.
Yeah, because I would love to be able to watch this type of stuff from the baseline, and I know it's out there. Someone just needs to give me the access. Okay, just let us or even better volleymetrics. Let's work out a deal. Let's figure something out. But yeah, regardless, I think this is Busto is back. I think that this is going to be, they're going to be once again a top 4 or 5 team, and just makes everything even more interesting. Gotta love it.
Yeah, they're going to struggle to get even into the top 5. They've got a lot of ground to make up. They've got to get over Chieri probably. And speaking of Chieri, I want to talk about their match versus Malonza for a little bit. If this score sheet loads. Oh yeah, there we go. Malonza wins 3-1. They finally, this might be the first time all season, Everett, that Malonza started with a lineup and stuck with it for the entire match.
Ooh, that's exciting. There we go.
How about it? Stysiak on the left side the entire time. So no need to move the outside hitters around. And they still haven't even gotten Jordan Larson there yet. So they finally settled on a lineup. It worked. They stuck with it for the match. And sure enough, they win a 3-1.
Okay. First of all, I'm not convinced Chieri is legit, so I don't really rank this as being like come on, look at their roster compared to everyone else's in the top 5.
They had a nice start. I think they're greater than some of their parts, but I know they're not as talented.
They're like the polished Cisterna of the women's side. But like Milano just frustrates me. Like, how can you have Magdalena Stysiak, who just was on fire at the World Championships, and she goes 8 for 30? You know, her like a terrible efficiency out there. And I know we're just going to let her slug through it, but like, you know, right? Like they didn't even play fantastic. They hit 41% as a team. Their efficiency was terrible, right? Got blocked 5 times, 9 unforced errors, and they still won. It's just, man.
You want to talk about blocking? Malonza has 20.
Yeah,
20 blocks as a team. I mean, they're massive. They're probably the biggest average height team in the league. But 20 blocks is nuts in 4 sets.
But once again, who has the least amount of blocks on the court?
Ooh,
the biggest friggin' person out there. Like the most imposing person on the court has 1 block, and literally every single even Alessio Oro has 2 blocks, which is 1 more than Magdalena.
Oro had 10 points, by the way. Double-digit scoring for a setter is insane with 6 kills. 2 blocks, 2 aces. That's nuts. That flew under the radar for me.
6 for 7 attacking.
Yeah,
that's absolutely crazy. So you know what? That's what's keeping him right there. That they're a monstrous team. That they block really well, and that Oro is a magician. But they've got to figure something out, right? Like at the end of the day, like Stysiak is going to end up on the bench. Is that what's going to happen?
I think it is. I think it's really sad. For the second straight year, I think Stysiak is going to be stuck playing out of position, and she's going to end up on the bench because Malonza did a bad job of constructing this team. It sucks. Like their optimal lineup, as soon as Jordan Larson gets there, is obviously to play Jordan Larson, and then the other outside hitter will probably be Sila over Stysiak.
Yeah.
for both foreigners and for play style. And I don't think Stysiak's going to be playing over Jordan Thompson. So it's a shame. I just want Magdalena Stysiak to go somewhere where she can play opposite. Let her play her position.
I think they're usually good though, because you have Rafaela Fori and then you Foley, and then you have Alessia Oro, and then you have the libero, right? So then the other 4 can be foreigners.
They could, yeah. Or you could play. I mean, they've been playing Stevanovic in the middle, which is a great choice. She's been playing great.
Yeah.
They've got a little bit of flexibility because they have an Italian setter, but I think Sila right now is. I mean, she's certainly more of an outside hitter than Stysiak is.
Oh yeah, 100%. Man, I just don't understand this like Stysiak outside like who benefits from it?
Nobody.
It's honestly like someone like if it was like a fashionista lady just bought a whole bunch of clashing pieces for an outfit, but they're all the most expensive pieces, so she all wore them at the same time, even though it made her outfit look terrible. That's exactly what Monza is doing right now. Just an embarrassment of riches that don't work together.
I was wondering where you were going to go with that analogy, but actually I don't hate it.
It came around. Okay.
All right, coming up this weekend in the Lega Volley Femminile, only a couple that jump off the page to me. One is Conegliano versus Scandicci. Good one there, 2 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Other than that, honestly, not much. That's probably the only match I'm going to be tuning into.
Yeah, you're probably right. There is a game tomorrow. Conegliano's taking on Macerata.
That's a beatdown. That's an hour in a shower. Don't waste your time.
That is an hour in a shower. Do hour in showers happen in pro volleyball? I feel like it's
sure. It's more like an hour and 5, hour and 10.
Yeah, like hour and 15. But like that was a straight up like I remember in like high school, sometimes my coaches would be like, "Hey, I need to go somewhere tonight. So if you guys do this an hour in a shower, I'll get you guys a pizza party later on this week." Classic high school volleyball. Gotta love it. Yeah. That's pretty much the only thing to watch. Honestly, I'm going to be watching Firenze for the next little bit because I wasn't expecting them to kind of go on a bit of a tear and be one of those teams. I was expecting them to be the Chieri, and I'm still hoping my expectation is going to be true, and I think those two teams are going to swap, but we'll see.
Yeah, Firenze did get beat by Conegliano last Wednesday, 3-1, pretty convincingly. So yeah, we'll see if Herbots and the crew can catch fire. Speaking of hours and showers, Everett, I think we should move on to the Italian Men's League, and in the form of a very high-profile one, an absolute just no doubt beatdown last Thursday in a makeup game. Perugia 3-dongs Modena, absolutely no problem. An hour and 17 total duration, 25-17, 25-16, 25-20. They did it with Jesus Herrera as the starting opposite. Come on, Modena. What are we doing here? Why can we not even be remotely competitive against? I mean, I know Perugia's amazing, they're the best team in the league. Why can't Modena be remotely competitive? It's not even close.
They're not good. They're the second place team in the Superliga right now. They're just not that good. Like let's be honest, which is like absolutely nuts. I messaged Rob the other day and I was like, have we been taking weekly screenshots of the standings in the Superliga? Because it's been like, I swear to God, Modena like a week or two ago was 9th, and all of a sudden it's the second. They're in second now. Like, what is going on in the Superliga? Honestly, to be honest, I don't even know why we're talking about this. Modena is painfully average. They've got some really nice parts, but the fact that you have Tommaso Rinaldi out there just like weighs you down. You have so much good young Italian talent out there, and you've got to go with Rinaldi. Like, come on, Modena. Like you got to do better. Sure, you have Lagumgia who's been doing great, and Engapeth, but it's just, there's some holes on that team. And Perugia is damn Perugia. Like, we know what to expect, and they let them off the hook. Like, what can I say? It's the best damn team in volleyball, bar none. I just spent the past half hour gabbing about how good Conegliano is. Like,
Perugia's better than that.
Like that times
way
5.
Better than that. Yeah,
like absolutely times 5. Like, if we have a graphic right now of the standings, we should just jump to that. So we just show the absolute dominance.
Let's look at it. Look at how not even close this is. Perugia,
not even close.
10-0. Modena. I mean, the next team is a 500 team. Modena's 5-5 with 17 points, and I mean they and Trentino and those teams have played one more match than the rest. But we're looking at teams with 5 wins that are in second, or that are the next closest teams to Perugia, who has 10. They're 10-0. They've only dropped 6 sets all year. They're perfect at 30 points. They're absolutely untouchable. And I agree. I don't think we have to spend very much time talking about them. In fact, here, great. They beat Cisterna 3-1. Great.
I mean, Cisterna they made it interesting. the first, and I was like, "Ooh, this is gonna get spicy," and then just
more interesting than Modena did, man. Here's a match that I absolutely do want to talk about. We talked about it on last week's show. We talked about Milano. We talked about Milano with only one middle blocker, almost beating Piacenza, and you could argue that they should have. Well, sure enough, they go right back out there with the same lineup configuration. No Matteo Piano, no Agustin Loser. Only Marco Vitelli is their only healthy middle blocker active on the roster right now. They go out and beat Trentino. And not only do they beat them 3-1 for full points with only one middle blocker on the roster. Everett, how is that even possible?
Honestly, I don't know. I haven't watched it yet, and I really need to go back because has to be one of the most intriguing matches. You have Batapor lining up in the middle, and he goes like 15 for 30. What?
So I assume that they're doing the same thing that they did in the Piacenza game, where Batapor lines up across as the middle. He lines up across from Vitelli, but for the most part, in serve reception, so he'll get replaced by the libero. Like the libero will go in for Batapor, but while Batapor's in, he'll pass and attack on the left side in reception, and then block in the middle in transition. And Melgarejo kind of does the other thing where he'll block on the left and attack in the left, but hit middle inside out. It's really weird. And we have a comment saying Piazza is a genius in the chat. I will never say that. I think
never.
I think Piazza is a stooge, but I think he deserves credit for at least piecing something together with this situation. And sure enough, getting this out of it. I mean, a win over Trentino is a massive deal. I can't believe this.
You know what this smells like to me? This smells exactly like there's a certain school in the OUA in Ontario that always does pretty good, and everyone knows the head coach is a stooge. We're not gonna go into it. And he's always got amazing assistant coaches that just kind of figure something out and tie everything together. That's what this feels like for Milano for me. You know, that Piazza was just probably tearing out his non-existent hair in the boardroom one day, being like, "What are we gonna do without our middles?" And then their assistant coach just comes out and just goes like, "This is what we're gonna do." And it was just so complicated that Piazza's like, "Okay, we do that." And like this is what they're going for. But like that's what this smells of me. And I'm gonna start this conspiracy theory because you know me, I can never admit that Piazza's doing something good, and he will forever be up there of the King Stooges.
Tearing out his non-existent hair. That's going in the 9x9 Hall of Fame as well. Trentino. I mean, this Trentino team, constructed the way they are, should not lose matches like this. You should not lose to a team with less talent, with a way worse setter, and with only one middle blocker. That just should not happen. I mean, Lisinac and Pedrasinin should just feast. They should absolutely feast. And Lisinac did. Pedrasinin did not, and can't even block any balls. Trentino not serving well. They're not passing well. They're not attacking well enough. And I mean, maybe it's weird. You're getting a different look against this Milano team with only one middle blocker. I mean, obviously they're doing weird stuff. Be better than that. Don't play down to the level of a team with scrambled parts. Be Trentino. Be better than that. I was surprised by this. Fortunately, they righted the ship today in Champions League, which we'll talk about. But this is a crazy one. A very weird head scratcher for Milano to win this match.
I honestly just want to chalk this one down to just an off match for Trentino. You know, when we talk about a quality roster, when we talk about a quality team and a quality organization, Trentino is up there with the best of them. That's why they've gone to back-to-back Champions League finals with rosters that could be questionable to get there comparing to some of their opponents, right? Like that's why they've been consistently, as long as I've followed professional volleyball, Trentino has been a good team. And year in and year out, you're kind of like, they don't necessarily have it. Like they've got 35-year-old Matej Kaczynski second in the league in scoring right now, for goodness sakes. And I mean, we've got someone in this chat saying like we were too high on Micheletto a year or so ago. I don't think so. He's still in the top 10 of scoring right now, higher than Lavia, who was fantastic and one of my favorite players for this entire season. So I think this is just one-off match for Trentino, but really big ups to Milano for figuring this one out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's pretty well said. We'll see how long Milano can carry this weird system until they can get one of their two actual middle blockers back, or if maybe they try and go out and hit the transfer market, because you can't keep this up forever with only one middle on the court. Speaking of teams with lots and lots of middles on the court, Everett, we got to talk about this one. One of the bangers of the weekend, and a much more conventionally played match between two supposed powerhouse teams, Lube Civitanova mounts a very late comeback from down, what was it, 8-12 in the
12-8.
fifth?
Yeah, 12-8.
Oh, no.
And once again,
beats Piacenza 15-13 in the fifth set.
Talking about, okay, this is going to be the theme for today. Teams who do it right and teams who don't do it right. You've got one team who's got a questionable roster with a bunch of young names that has been hot and cold this year. On the other side, you have a roster that on paper should probably compete for the title, should probably compete at the Champions League level, and yet has just been puttering along, dropping like you needed less points to win than you dropped. That's so embarrassing for Piacenza. And once again, Lube has a winning culture. They do things right. They don't have the guys right now, but they still get the job done on some nights. Piacenza, not a winning culture. Couldn't shoot a fish in the barrel if they tried.
I mean, that's exactly it. It's crazy how year over year rosters change, and they change so much in volleyball. We have all these crazy off seasons with brand new teams year in and year out, but the same clubs are good. And it's not just about buying the best roster. There is something too at the top levels of the club and the culture of the club being successful or not. And this rebranded, or rather completely recreated Piacenza franchise as of a couple years ago that came in with a bunch of money has not figured it out yet. I think that Bernardi deserves a lot of the blame because he's a clown, and we've been saying this for years, especially when he coached Perugia. He figured out excuses to take Aaron Russell off the court. I'll never forgive him for that. But there's something about this Piacenza team that makes them less than the sum of their parts. I don't understand what that is, other than the coach and just the team is who they are.
I mean, there's one thing that I see, and I watched this match, and I've been in a world like soccer World Cup haze recently, so my volleyball watching has been a little bit less. Sad on my Canada team not moving through. Congratulations to your American team; they just qualified.
Soccer sucks. We're not talking about soccer. Soccer is the stupidest sport on earth. I watched the USA versus England game. Complete waste of 2 hours of my life. I refuse to talk about soccer. Move on.
Okay, well then, this is one of the few games I did watch this weekend, and Piacenza has all of they just do everything without passion. They just do everything without that gusto. You can just tell there's a bunch of boys sitting around and they know they're good, and they're just like, why aren't we doing better? They're not getting the job done. They just don't have that one guy to kind of pull them together, which is so weird because that's always what I see Robert Landy Simone as. But he just hasn't been that guy for Piacenza, and he just doesn't have that counterpart. That Brizard Simone vibe just isn't working as the classic Checo Simone vibe.
Simone didn't play in this match, to be fair. I'm not exactly sure why, but he didn't dress. We saw Romy Alonso, another Cuban, who played awesome. He went 13 for 16. So that certainly bears repeating. That, I mean, 13-15 in the fifth, maybe Robert Landy Simone makes that difference. We're talking about this otherwise. But this Piacenza roster, top to bottom, is better than Lube's right now. But 100%. Sure enough, Lube has the parts and the experience and to throw together something weird and make it work. I mean, Marlon Yant, pretty good. Ivan Zaitsev started at opposite and was really good. That's a really nice luxury if they can do that, because it takes away some of their problems with the foreigner limit, allows Bartolomei Chinenyezi to be awesome, which he was. So Lube has been a roller coaster ride. We've talked about them a lot, but I agree with you. I think when you put these two teams in this situation, Lube is going to win almost every time based on pure experience and culture and being greater than the sum of their parts, whereas Piacenza is completely the opposite.
Yeah, we're getting in the chat too that Simon Brizard just doesn't work, and I it's so true, but there's just such a slight difference in the way they play the game. And Brizard, even though he's very creative and he has that flair for the dramatic, and it works really well within the French system, it's still a very intricate system. And you still have middle blockers who are there always on time. And I'm not saying that Simon isn't on time, but it's just a different. It's different than setting Chinenyezi and any of these guys. You just need to kind of chuck it up to him. I don't know. It just hasn't been there. It hasn't been there quite yet. But we're also seeing, is Di Giorgi, is he on the market?
So I think there's a thing in Italy, at least there has been, where they don't allow the coach of the national team to coach club. I don't exactly know the details. I would like one of our Italian friends in the Discord to give me some more insight on that. But I know that's been a topic of conversation. So correct. De Giorgi is not coaching club right now. I bet that if he were available, a team like Piacenza would love to replace Bernardi with him. God, that would be a massive upgrade. But I'm not sure if that's possible. I think there's something more to that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just going off from the chat because man, Piacenza needs to figure something out, and you know why I really want them to figure something out, because my fear is that you have this sponsor, and I don't know who, like Blue Energy, I forget, but like Piacenza's been one of those up and down clubs, and if you have a sponsor, they're not just going to throw it away all this money on a team that isn't winning. So if you're going to spend money, I want the good teams to win,
right,
so that these sponsors continue to spend more money, and it's not a wasted investment, because that might be what it is right now.
Yeah, that's important. So I hope Piacenza figures it out. I mean, if I were them, I would have fired Bernardi years ago. I think that's the easiest fix. Let's move on. There was a team that we were talking about the last couple of weeks. Could they go out and win a big match against a good team? That is Verona. And we said that they had a test this past weekend against Modena, which they failed. Modena beats Verona 3-1. And like you said just earlier, as we were talking about Modena getting clowned on by Perugia, Modena is honestly pretty darn average. And it's a team that I would really like Verona to start being able to beat. And in this one, they couldn't. Terrible passing numbers for Verona all the way around was problem number one.
That's going to be the problem with Verona.
Yep.
Right? Like, you can't rock out there with Numikeda and Rock Mosic on the left side, especially since you're a lib. Who's your lib in this one? Like,
Gaggini is the Verona libero's name. He's average.
He's painfully average, right? Like, you need to be rocking. Like, honestly, Verona would maybe benefit going to get a foreign libero. Like, I know that's almost blasphemous to say.
No, they can't afford one.
I know
they
can't afford it.
Maybe do is take either Giulio Magalini, who's one of their younger outside hitters, or hear me out on this one. Put Gord Perrin in the other color jersey. Put Gord Perrin in the other color jersey. That's going to be a foreigner limit problem, but they can handle that. They can put Spirito and both Italian middles in there. Maybe, just maybe, that is what that serve reception unit needs. And sure enough, Perrin came in for Keita in the fourth when he couldn't really hang in serve reception. Modena did a very good job of targeting Keita as much as they could. 8% perfect passing, 12% positive is not even close to good enough. Perrin comes in. I think I probably should have made that move a little earlier.
I'm biased, obviously. Gord's my boy.
Gord's the man. I loved meeting him over the summer. He's a great guy.
Yeah, awesome dude. And I think, you know what, he's a little bit of an older guy. Just let him get in there. Let him get his legs underneath him. Like, he's a vet. He's been there. He's been to 2 Olympic Games. He's played in Russia. He's played in Brazil. He's played in Poland. He's played around the world. Just let him get there. Let him let your team settle in from the get-go with him on the court. Try out that look from the beginning and see how your offense settles in. You can have Gord take legitimately half the court in passing because he's 6'7" and has a massive wingspan and can pass legitimately half the court. Push the Rock out, and it's not even like the Rock is I would say is an above average passer, and we've seen that consistently, especially like when. Early in the season, when this team was winning big games, they were bringing in Gord, and the serve receivers the serves were all going to Rock all of a sudden, and they were passing decent enough to run the offense. I just don't know. Like, they have this this grand idea that Nomura Keita is going to go from being a right side in Korea to being an outside in Italy, and it's just absolutely absurd. Get the boy in there, get the man from Creston, BC in there, and let him just hack away, because he's basically a lumberjack, and that's what we do.
I love that. There's a couple things to this. One, you made a great point about Mosic becoming the serving target, and that's important, because when Keita's in there, he's the serving target. Even if Mosic
he's a black hole. He's a black hole.
Depends on the match. This one, obviously, he was very, very bad. But when you take him out and you shift the serving target to be Rock Mosic, that's a role that he's used to. He's used to being targeted all the time and still hitting 50%. Like, that's
100%.
That's his thing. That totally changes the opposing service strategy when you don't have a glaring target like Nomura Keita in there. And so I agree. I think that Keita should have a little shorter of a leash on the left. I also wouldn't hate to see him a little bit on the right. I mean, we talked about Maxim Sapojkov early on in the year being a 7'2" or however huge he is. He's a giant. He was unstoppable. His
But
numbers
he's cooled
have
down.
definitely cooled down. Sure enough. I mean, everybody else kind of figured him out. So I might like to see a little bit of Keita on the right side where we thought that he was going to be coming into the year.
I mean, to me, it just like you got so far with Rock being one of your guys and just feed him so many balls last year, and like how many scoring leaders do you need, right? Like you've got a potential scoring leader in the Rock, you got a potential scoring leader in Sapochkov, you got a potential scoring like how many guys putting up like double digit like outside points like do you need? Like there just needs to be some role. Like I think if they just brought in Gord from the beginning, let them settle in, and then let Nomura Keita and Maxim Sapochkov just battle it out on the right side. I'd love to see that. I think it'd be awesome. Let the start putting up 25-point games again. Like,
yeah, you have. There's only one ball, to use a basketball term or even a football term. Like with a lot of playmakers, a lot of guys who demand the ball and can put up those kind of numbers. There's only one ball to give them. So maybe there a little bit of reorganization of the offense could do work there. Got to give Modena a little bit of credit. They passed the ball great, better than I've seen most of this year. They served really well. Their ace to error ratio 8-15 is outstanding. And obviously they're targeting Keita, targeting the right guy. And with the exception of Tommaso Rinaldi, who's like below average in every area, I thought their offense looked pretty good. So great. Good job, Modena. You're second in the league right now. I mean, look at these standings again. This is absolutely bananas. 5-5, 5-5, 5-4, 5-4, 5-4, and then 3, 4, and 5 teams. Like other than the 3 teams at the bottom, Trento, Padova, and Siena, everybody else. Taranto's not bad.
But they're only 8 points behind Modena with a game at hand.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
right. Like there is nothing separating this field right now. And even Siena was able to get in there with a win over Cisterna, who's like a questionable team at best. No ideas what's going on over there in Rome with Cisterna. But yeah, like Modena though, once again, there's teams that do it right and there's teams that don't do it right. And while Modena doesn't have the roster, they still do it right? That's still an organization top to bottom that does things right, and they're gonna feast on teams like Verona that have no idea the identity and are just trying to put a bunch of bazookas on the court without without any support out there. So yeah.
Yep. So the other matches from this weekend, Monza 3 Dongs Padova. Sure enough, Padova, after 2 crazy upsets to start the year, they are who we thought they were. They are second to last in the league. I don't think we need to say any more about that. And then Taranto beats Siena, a big one that maybe could have relegation implications. But looking at the standings again, Siena has played 2 less matches than everybody else. So they had a Lube match postponed and then one other one that got moved back for some reason. So they've got some matches to catch up on. So, I mean, really nobody is out of the playoffs at this point. Obviously, it's really early, but Siena, Padova, Taranto, they could beat a couple teams and grab spots 9 or 8 maybe. And all those other teams, like from spots really 9 through 2, any of them could get the 2 seed at this point. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, it's
I love the chaos of it all. I'm interested to see if anyone, once that like winter transfer window opens up briefly, I'm wondering anyone to upgrade. Like, is anyone going to make any moves to kind of tweak anything? Like, no one seems to be missing anything quite yet, so I'm not entirely sure, but it's gonna be awesome. I think this season is gonna unfold fantastically. Let's just let Perugia run away, and then everyone brawl at the bottom. I love it.
Yeah, let's let Perugia run away, and just to put it on everybody's radar now, think about it this way. As you're talking about playoff seeding in the Superliga, obviously it's 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7, 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5. But then more importantly, it's the winner of that 4-5 series that will play Perugia in the second round. You do not want to be seed 4 or 5.
But what about what about if we started the playoffs today, right? What if we started the playoffs today? We'd have a Perugia Piacenza first round, which would honestly be like having the Lakers the 8th seed right now. It would be fucking amazing. Oops, sorry. I don't know if we can swear on this show. We haven't talked about that. But yeah, I think that would be outstanding because Piacenza would get it. Piacenza would give you a glimpse. there would be a few games in there where Piacenza was like, this is the best team in the
Not
world.
while Bernardi's the coach. You're not going to get that. But
they would figure it out. You're telling me that Brizal and Simone and all those guys, like, come on.
Not against Perugia. Get real.
For a game or two. I'm not talking about the series. I'm not talking about them winning the series, but at least one. At least one, they're looking nice.
And then they'll get smoked the rest of the time.
100%,
all right,
absolutely.
coming up this weekend. Let's see, Lube versus Milano on Monday. Why is there a Monday match? That's weird. Milano versus Lube on Monday. That's maybe Milano does the 1 middle blocker thing again. Verona versus Siena, not much there. Piacenza versus Cisterna. Monza versus Modena, Trentino versus Padova, Perugia versus Taranto. Not all that good of a weekend, but with all the chaos going on in the middle, I bet a couple of those matches will go 5 and produce some fun stuff. So obviously we will catch up on that on next week's show. Everett, I think we got to move on. You want to talk about Champions League?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to do a quick ad real quick first?
Yes, let's do that. Are we still doing the sale on that volleyball store? Or are we back to normal?
We're still. People are buying things. And as long as people are buying things, like I'm gonna keep it going, right? Why not? Like it's the holiday cheer. It's Black Friday. It's Cyber Monday. It's Volleyball Source Tuesday. So head over to volleyball.store for 25% off of your entire order. You're gonna use the code year1, all one word, all caps, and you get 25% off everything. This shirt here. Sorry, we don't have any cool polos like Mr. Rob is wearing over there. I was actually showing Rob some new stuff that's potentially coming in on the pipeline coming in the near future. So head over to that volleyball.store, make a purchase, and look cool.
Yep. Hit up that volleyball.store. Also, if you missed last week's show, the 9x9 now has its own dedicated Instagram account. So go follow at 9x9 volleyball. We've gotten a couple responses about people who we want to bring on to help us produce or edit some of our content and get it in more places on the internet. But we're still always willing for more people to help. So if you like the show, if you're kind of social media savvy or content savvy, or you just want to come on and get on board with us and help out, create some stuff, let us know. Either DM that Instagram account at 9x9 volleyball or DM on us on our Instagrams or Discord or whatever. We're definitely looking for some help.
Especially like if you're someone who's in college, university, you're looking for like a little bit of money. We don't make a ton of money off of this, aka very little, but there's a little bit to spend in the budget now. So hey, we can help keep some food on your table if you help keep our Instagram feeds rolling.
Yep. So let us know if you would like to help with that sort of thing. All right, let's jump back into some volleyball. Everett, there was a big match in the CEV Champions League today on the men's side. We're back to Champions League.
Of course.
It was this one. It was a
rematch, baby. Let's go.
Rematch of the last 2 super finals matches between Zaxa and Trentino, and this time it is Trentino that gets just a little bit of revenge. They beat Zaxa at home 3-1. Alessandro Micheletto in this one was awesome. I think, let me pull up the stats. I think it was like 71%. Yeah, 71% kills, 17 for 24 with 4 errors. That's incredible. Passed the ball great, plus 4 aces. He looked like that top 5 player in the world that we were hyping him up as last year today, and that was kind of nice to see because he, as the comment in the chat said earlier, he has dipped off a little bit from that. Trentino right now is better than Zaxa. I want to make that very clear. Zaxa has some serious roster problems. They're missing both of their starting middle blockers. Obviously, Norbert Huber still coming back from the Achilles. He'll be back in a couple months, but we haven't seen David Smith for 2 or 3 weeks. Minor injury there. He didn't play in this one, so it was Dmitro Prashitsky and then some other middle, this Tomasz Kolembka character who I had never seen before. And those two against Lisinac and Podrashinin is a complete mismatch. So we got to put that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I will have to say Podrashkin has been, and I wanted to say this when we were talking about them earlier, he's been just looking a little slow to me recently.
I agree.
Lisinac is still looking crisp. He's still dominating. Podrashkin, not so much. But to be honest, this result, not a surprise whatsoever. If you've been following Zaxa whatsoever, you know that they're just not the same team. And I know that statistically Trentino might not be, like, I think at this point in the season, they might be statistically worse than they were the past couple, even though the roster-wise, their rosters weren't supposed to be as good. But like this Trentino's team is still one of the best teams in the world. And I think we're really seeing that the quality in Italy this year Not so much in with Zaxa. Like Semeniuk going to Perugia was a huge loss for them, and they just didn't get anything in return for him, and that's honestly their biggest issue. That hole on the left side. How bad is it that we were talking about it in the Discord today that Garrett Magutatia is now going to play Indonesia, and he turned down Zaxa because they weren't going to give him enough money? Yeah, Garrett?
Allegedly. That is completely insane. As somebody brought it up earlier, how we have to laugh at Garrett Magutatia going to play in Indonesia, which is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. I thought him playing in Egypt last year was embarrassing enough for a guy on the World Championship roster, but Indonesia is just insane. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I want to take a look at this match on more of a macro level, because we can dig into the stats, or we can look at some of these things in more detail about this matchup, because we're going to see it again. I want to put a couple things out there. One, again, Zaxa missing both middles. But just to put it on everyone's radar now, there was one notable rumor that is kind of more of an overarching theme that I want to bring up. Think about, Everett, the level of a couple of the superstars that are playing in China this year, right? Osmani Wantarena, Thomas Jeschke, Bartosz Bednors immediately come to mind, at least at the outside hitter position. You've got a couple more, Mitch Stahl, Max Holt in the middle. There's some talent playing in China. That season ends at the end of January. You'd better believe that some of these teams, if they have the budgets to do so, are going to go out and try and get some of those guys when the Chinese league season ends. And a rumor that was posted all over the place was Osmani Wantarena to Zaxa when the Chinese season ends, which would be completely insane just to think about Wantarena playing for a Polish team. But I think that Bednors, of all people, would be a no-brainer.
Come on. Like Zaxa, you can get a 2-for-1.
Come on.
Go pick up Bednors and Wantarena, because guess what? Your foreign Olympic can handle it. And you're telling me after 2 Champions Leagues you don't have the budget to bring in 2 guys like that? Like, come on, they've already just got paid in China too, right? Like,
I just think they need one. I think, or Thomas Jeschke, who I think as far as play style fit would be the best of the 3.
Thomas Jeschke, I feel like he's one of the most shafted men in men's volleyball.
Very, very, very underrated, and has had horrible injury luck in his career.
Fantastic
Zaxa, go get one of those guys. Go get Wantarena, Bednors, or Jeschke. If you want even a remote chance to contend in Poland and in Champions League, go get one of those guys. I know you can do it. I'm talking to you right now. Go get one of those guys. It'll make the whole scene of volleyball in early 2023 way more entertaining. Go do it.
Yeah, it absolutely would. Like, just go make a run. Like, they're going to need it in that Polish league. JW starting to show cracks, right? Losing their first match of the season now. And like, I think Zaxa is the perfect, like, once again, teams that do it well. Zaxa is a club that does it well. They're not the best. They're not the highest the budgeted club in Poland, right? They're not out there like Varsovia spending money and all of this stuff. And I think Skra does that a bit as well too. And Zaxa, they do well for themselves. And if they could just pick up one more piece, this team would just be that much more lethal.
Right, and they really could make a run because, like you said, Zaxa get Taylor Sander. Yeah, right.
Sorry,
that's not going to happen. Let's talk about Jastrzębski a little bit, because there was another pretty good Champions League match today. That's JW beating Friedrichshafen 3-1. This match was surprisingly close. Friedrichshafen blew it in the second set. I got to say, 32-30, I believe, was that score that Jastrzębski won. 31-33. Oh man. Way too many service errors. There were a lot of serves missed, a lot of missed opportunities that Friedrichshafen could have, just straight up stolen a point right there because they took the first. But sure enough, JW capitalizes on that and then steps on their throats the rest of the match to remain perfect in Champions League. We can talk about this one a little bit, Everett, because I'm actually kind of liking this Friedrichshafen team, but it will segue it into JW losing their first match of the year after that.
Well, here's a matchup in general is perfect for Lebedew. Like, this is a Lebedew classic where you like, I'm going to go get a team that shouldn't compete with this team to compete with this team. And that's always what I found to be Lebedew's like best thing to take a team that's like maybe down here and get them competing up here, but not necessarily taking a team that's up here and bringing them to be up here. Right.
Yes.
like I still think he's pretty good at that, and he's still one of the best coaches in the world and has that ability. But mostly, let's take a team that's not so great. Let's bring some structure around. Let's play within a system that's going to be able to beat this other team. And I think that's exactly what happened in this one for Friedrichshafen. And this is why this is a team that I think will do decently well at Champions League, or at least have a good showing like they do in this one, but then maybe fall flat a little bit in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I agree. I think Friedrichshafen and kind of Lebedou's personality as a coach is that to punch above his weight class. And he almost landed one here. They got that first set 25-18. I turned it on, was like, what's going on here? Is JW really falling off that hard that quickly? They figured it out. I do kind of like the way this Friedrichshafen team is built. They've got a lot of like fringe national team guys at every position, except for Dejan Vincic, who I actually don't even like that much at the setter spot. Otherwise, they've got a couple guys who see a little bit of national team time, but their play styles and their cohesiveness I actually kind of like. And we talked about Andre Brown a couple weeks ago. How good is that boy playing? What did he have, like 9 blocks in a match the other day in the Bundesliga?
Yeah, he had 9 blocks this weekend, came through with another good day today. He went 7 for 10, added another 3 blocks out there. The boy's just doing work. As I've said before, we don't need to get into it again. Fun to watch, hard worker. Love to see him have all the success, and he deserves every single ounce of it.
Yep, I agree. And we've said several times now, Jastrzębski here rebounding from their first loss of the year. Let's talk about it. A very random one. Like, we didn't have our eyes on this, but it was kind of similar to last year, like the Conegliano win streak, that all of a sudden they randomly lose a match to Firenze that no one expected. Similar thing here. Now, there is an important caveat, and someone pointed this out in the chat, that this was Jastrzębski's second match in 48 hours, including travel from one edge of Poland to the other. So that definitely sucks. But you got to beat Kuprum Lubin. They're terrible. What is the team of Jastrzębski's talent doing and depth losing to Kuprum Lubin regardless of situation? That's a head scratcher. You shouldn't lose matches like that, and there's no more undefeated teams in Poland anymore.
I mean, I think this is one of those things that you happen, especially in a league like Poland, where you're playing often. Like Poland is the closest thing that we have to a North American schedule, right? Where you're playing any night of the week. You're not playing on a consistent basis, like mid games weeks or mid week games in Italy are basically unheard of.
Yeah, that never happens, especially this year.
So I do think that this is one of those things that's just going to happen to a team. I think, you say it's not that much travel within 48 hours. I'm going to give them a pass for it. I'm feeling generous today. This is the second pass that I've given today.
Yeah, you're really handing them out for free, eh? Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to dig into the numbers much here. Jastrzębski's attack efficiency surprisingly low. Kuprum played out of their minds. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. Ilya Kovalov looks awesome in that one anyway, but this was probably bound to happen. I mean, it's very difficult, especially with the PlusLiga scheduled the way it is, to go undefeated. I still think that JW is the best team, but of all the matches they were going to lose their first one, this one I did not expect.
Was it at home or was it in Kuprum?
Had to be on the road. I wonder if it'll tell me that.
Just because, like, that's my guess. You show up like sometimes, like, Rob, you've played. Like sometimes.
It was at home. It was at home.
It was at home.
It was
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, then that's a little less. That's a little worse. Because sometimes you just roll up to an opposing team's barn and you're just like, man, I just don't have it today. And then they just start rolling, and then that like one little section of fans that they probably have just gets going, and they get their flags going and whatnot, and then you can just feel all the momentum, and it's just everything in the world's against you. But if you're playing at home, that's a little different.
Yeah, no excuses. Jastrzębski's better than Kuprum Lubin, but whatever. They were probably going to lose a match eventually. They're still at the top of the league. Speaking of the PlusLiga, let's look at the standings. It's so small on the screen. I need to pull it up somewhere else. We'll talk about some other PlusLiga news in just a second, but now it's a little tighter at the top. I mean, Resovia and Zawiercie both very much in striking distance of first. 4 points behind and only 1 game behind in terms of win-loss. Zox is up there. A lot of competitive stuff going on, and of course, the fighting Jake Haynes' Bielsko-Biała firmly in relegation position right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be there. Unfortunately for my boy Dalton Sanofsky on that team, but man, if you look at this Zawiercie team right now, what is it, 8 in a row, 7 in a row that they've won. They are on a roll at the moment.
They're hot.
And
They're very, very hot.
They've been trucking along. Big win against Resovia last week, followed up with a nice little 3-donger against Warsaw, who fired their coach this week as well. So I mean, I think Zawiercie is definitely a team up there. That top 4 in Poland this year, spicy. I like it.
Yeah, pretty darn good. That's a really good top 4. JW, Resovia, Zawiercie, and Zaksa. I like that top 4 a lot. Oh yeah, you talked about Warszawa firing Roberto Santilli, and that wasn't actually the only PlusLiga firing this week. Also, Charny Radom fired Jacek Nawrocki, and good for him. He doesn't have to bother coaching Uncle Mo anymore. And Radom's terrible anyway, so they get rid of the former. I think he used to coach the Polish women's national team, if I remember right. But
yeah, I think
not
that is
one,
the guy.
not one, but 2 coach firings this week in the PlusLiga, and it wasn't even the Skra guy who a couple weeks ago I thought they might fire their coach. Skra played a pretty good match against Zaksa, by the way, to previously elite level programs. Maybe that might not be the case anymore. Zaksa won that one in 5. So Skra's coach, congratulations, Joel Banks. You are not the first coach fired in Poland this year.
Amazing, love that.
All right, that's the PlusLiga. Let's see what's going on this weekend. Anything good? Resovia versus Stalnissa, that's okay. Skra versus JW. Zaksa versus Radom, that's a beatdown. Zawiercie versus Lviv, that's probably a beatdown. So I don't see really much that jumps off the page at me. But yeah, if you want to watch some Polish matches, join the Volleyball Source Discord, get in that Poland channel, and we'll try and help you out with some links. One more thing, speaking of European matches ever, we got to talk about this. Did you watch this? Did you watch this game? This German Cup game between Berlin and Lüneburg?
It was, was absolutely unreal. Yeah, you're looking at that score at the bottom thing there. 27-25, 5th set.
Yep. That's not a typo. That was Berlin beating Lüneburg 27-25 in the 5th. One, I had a feeling this match was going to be fun, and I try to watch Lüneburg games because they're a really fun team. This is the German Cup is a weird tournament because it goes much like it's spread out much longer. It has like different periods throughout the year. So this wasn't a Bundesliga regular season game, but I thought it might be Berlin's first loss in Germany of the year, and it was so close. So close. Lüneburg was so close, but Berlin gets it done. Yeah, 27-25 in the 5th is maybe as deep a 5th set as I've ever seen. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, I mean, if I can remember it correctly, there was a lot of Berlin service errors in that 5th set that kind of not necessarily kept Lüneburg in it, but man, it was back and forth, and that Lüneburg team it's funny. Over the weekend, Gage and Joe did an interview with Bounce House in English. And it's pretty good if you go check it out. They're talking about how this team has like just a university college feel because you got so many North Americans, and even the guys who aren't North American are all younger. And this Lüneburg team is fiery. It's going to be really fun to watch them in the CEV Cup. I think that's really where it's going to get. It's going to be big. I think they're playing Groningen, like Hergis, in the next round of the CEV Cup, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's right. They've got another American, my boy Ryan Coonan. Shout outs to him.
And another Canadian in Jacob Kern. So who's another TW guy, and you've got 2 of his boys there. So that that matchup is just going to be a full on gong show in the CEV. So once again, that's why I love it. But yeah, this Lüneburg team, spicy to watch. Jordan Ewart, the more I watch, the more I think he needs.
Gotta get him in the national team, Jim, man.
Like,
what are we doing?
The fact that like him versus Cody Kessel. Oh, I would go with Jordan Ewart all day. No slight whatsoever to Cody Kessel. He's a player that I've watched for a long time. I've always enjoyed watching. I've always thought for a while he was underrated. I'm so happy to see the success that he's had and spend the time in the national team that he's had. But I think it's time for some new blood in there. And Jordan Ewart, he's fast, he's dynamic, he's got a good arm on him. His passing needs to get a little bit better, but man, he's some good stuff. And I'd love to see him in that like 4-5 slot for the USA.
Yeah, me too. So you mentioned the CEV Cup, Everett, and I wanted to bring this up because the CEV Cup is going on pretty much every week, and it's not nearly getting the coverage that it deserves because it is a very, very fun tournament. It's much more cutthroat because it's just like bracket rounds. You play home and away, and that's it. It's like the classic 2-match CEV thing where there can be a golden set. There's a bunch of good matches this week. They're into the or the 8th finals by now, so I think there are 16 teams left. Here's something really weird. Modena, I mean, one of the most historic teams in Italy, is going, I think tomorrow, to Arkas Izmir in Turkey to play the CEV Cup. That's Aris Lagumja against his little brother. There's so
against
many,
the team that built him,
right.
like
There's so much going on there. There's no broadcast for that match. Nobody is streaming this game. And including like Lundberg versus Groningen, like Kyrgyz, Piacenza versus Fenerbahce, like there are Narbonne versus Skrabelkatov. Like there are good matches going on in the CEV Cup, and we cannot watch them. The CEV has these broadcast standards that they say that every match has to be produced to the elite, like top Champions League level, or else you can't broadcast them at all. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Let us watch the matches. Let us watch the matches. Why are you taking away the opportunity to watch good volleyball?
guys, it's really friggin' simple out here. You need one camera. You put it at the back of the court, okay? You just get the whole thing. We don't need any of this side bull crap, okay? None of that. Make sure we zoom it in once it's behind, okay? There's nothing worse than the behind shot, even the Superliga. Why am I watching 25% of the screen?
So small.
Why can I see more crowd than the screen? Zoom it in a little bit. If you want a good guide, use my videos on Volleyball Source. Try to get as much of the court as possible, and just let it go. Scoreboard, 1 or 2 commentators, 1 camera. Make it a good camera. You don't need a webcam. Go out and spend like a couple of grand on a good camera that's going to be able to go, HD 180, 60 frames a second. That's all you need. Like none of this garbage. Like we just want to watch volleyball. I just want to watch volleyball. That's
I just want to watch volleyball. I would absolutely watch Modena versus Arkas Izmir tomorrow if I could. I would absolutely watch that.
1 camera setup, 100%.
Oh my god, totally. We don't want to watch the volleyball. We would rather watch it with 1 camera than not watch it at all. CEV, if you're
because
listening.
Guess what? I'm going to go watch it on Volumetrics anyways from a baseline with no sound.
Crazy that they're taking away good CEV Cup matches that we could be watching, but we're not. And so if CEV, if you really want people to take seriously the CEV Cup and the Challenge Cup, broadcast the games.
But they don't.
Oh,
they don't want to take it seriously, right? Like we know this firsthand. We've heard the stories. We've seen behind that back room. We know how things work.
Yes, we do.
They care about one thing, and that's padding their pockets.
Yeah,
right?
why do you guys think the European volleyball show isn't back this year?
Yeah, right. Man. Like the fact of the matter that board members pad their pockets and like this different employees there pad their pockets. Like, come on, guys, like let's get in there.
Figure it out. Man, that organization misses Dan Manili so much. It's crazy. Last but not least, Everett, the last thing we've got to talk about on this show is a very important topic for North Americans. You just did a podcast right before this talking about this very thing. It is the NCAA Women's Volleyball Tournament. It is time for what Everett calls the best product in all of volleyball. And I don't know if I will totally agree with that, but I really, really like the NCAA Women's Volleyball Tournament. This is the university system in the States. It is 64 teams, single elimination, and it starts this week. I think Thursday, December 1st, the round is 64. By the next show we do, we'll be down to 16 teams. The number 1 seeds, the University of Texas, the University of Wisconsin, the reigning champs, Stanford, who's won like 3 of the last 6 years, and then Louisville, who went to the Final Four last year. So great volleyball. Get in the Discord if you're not American. We'll try and help you watch these games. This is an extremely fun tournament. Very good broadcast, especially towards the end. You're going to want to follow along with this.
Yeah, 100%. I know if you're American, lucky you. For some reason, this is the most gate-kept event in all of volleyball, and it's the hardest one to watch. Like
all American sports are like that. American sports broadcasting is really frustrating.
Like, hey guys, the world exists outside of you. You know that? Like, come on. But yeah. So I do know that there's a certain member of the Discord who will be streaming some matches on his Discord channel. I've offered it for him to promote it, so if he wants to, he will. And others, if you're able to stream it on Discord or on Twitch or something, hey, let us watch, bro. I just want to watch some ball.
Let us watch the volleyball.
Let us watch the volleyball. I'm interested to see though, like, are any of these brackets are any of them being streamed like Wisconsin? Is that going to be played on the Big Ten Network? Are we going to get the Wisconsin regional on Volleyball World TV? Questions that we need to know.
I think that's an absolute slam dunk step for Volleyball TV next year is to get the NCAA 100%. Tournament on there. I don't think you're going to get that internationally this year. I'm lucky to not have this problem, but if you can watch this tournament, you should.
Is there an NCAA tournament that has more international interest? Like, of course, like basketball and football, like they have like the pedigree, but they have more international interest than women's volleyball. Because is there any other NCAA tournament where you have the best players who are going to finish their league, and then they are going to be playing at the top level in the best leagues a month later? Right?
We saw it all last year. We talked about it so much last year.
Multiple years.
Right. Players going immediately from the NCAA tournament in December to the best leagues in Europe in January. We see it all the time. We're going to see it again.
Athletes are like Anna Schreck, who's like one of the big, she was the finals MVP last year for Wisconsin, Canadian girl. She's going to be absolutely crazy for us. Can't wait to see her on the national team. But she's an athlete who started her schooling early in the spring semester. She finished high school early so she could start university early, get into training so she can graduate school as she finishes her degree, and that's how they do it now. It's incredible. So
and they all try and finish up in December. It's a great idea.
100%. Like watching, like there's so much, and like you've got Julia Bergman's playing in this tournament. Like
amazing.
What was it? Volleyball Magazine put out that list early in the year of all the international players. There's so many. There can't be another tournament like maybe soccer that has as many international players as women's volleyball. So yeah. I'd love to see it on Volleyball World TV.
Yeah, you're going to want to watch this. Tell us about the interview you did just before this, Everett.
Oh, yeah. It was super fun. Caitlin Genovi, she's the volunteer assistant coach for the Houston Cougars. You're going to see them just kind of on the left-hand side there, that 5th seed. They're going to be taking on South Dakota in the first round in that Creighton bracket down there. Caitlin is someone that I've known for a long time. Her and I go way back. She was a setter up here in Canada, played for the McMaster Marauders around the same time that Stephen Marr was there. Then she played professionally in France, came back, spent some time coaching here in Canada, and she's just dialed in, as you said, 5th ranked seed heading into the tournament, and she was just a wealth of knowledge. She helped me break some things down. She said Iowa State is a team that just took down Texas right before this tournament started.
Yes,
so like you're taking down the number 1 team. That's a team to watch out for. She really likes Kentucky. She thinks Kentucky might come out of that out of their bracket as well too.
Kentucky won the national championship just like 2 years ago. So
yeah,
that's
exactly.
A program that's been there before.
So yeah, there's definitely some teams to watch. Unfortunately, she said, Rob, that your Boilermakers are having a bit of a rough year, bit of a down year for them.
That's okay. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for my beloved Purdue Boilermakers. They have a lot of freshmen in the starting lineup. They lost a lot to graduation last year, so actually, for them to be seeded is a pleasant surprise. They're an 8 seed in Louisville's region, and I have a question about this. My one gripe about the NCAA women's volleyball bracket is how these seedings are determined. So you see, like within every corner, like there's those 4 corners of the bracket, like 4 brackets of 16. Every one of them has seeds 1 through 8. So there are 4 1 seeds, 4 2 seeds, 4 3 seeds, et cetera, et cetera. So Purdue is an 8 seed in Louisville's bracket. So that would put them between seed 29 and 32 overall in the whole tournament. That's somewhere between 29 and 32 overall. Purdue is ranked 19th in the latest AVCA poll. Why is there a double-digit discrepancy in their ranking and their seed in the tournament? That makes absolutely no sense. Also, Stanford has a very easy bracket in general, but they have by far the hardest first-round matchup with Pepperdine, who, like, why is a 1 seed ever playing a good at-large bid team in the first round? That makes no sense. So if we're going to do this, if we're going to do the 64 bracket thing properly, do it like men's basketball does and get those seeds and rankings dialed in. We got to be better about that.
100%. absolutely. Let's get a proper 1 through 64 seed. None of these four. No, like that's garbage. Let's get a proper 1 through 64. None of this hiding behind this half-ass. 100% on that. However, the AVCA and the NCAA, no link. They knew not to work together. There's nothing going on there.
That is true.
The AVCA is a coach's poll, right? I poll the coaches and they tell me who's the best. The NCAA works off an RPI system. So everything that comes into account with like who you're playing, what their strength of schedule is, what your strength of schedule is. That's why you're seeing these teams who build their preseason as they do, because they need to make sure that they're hitting certain marks, so that, because if you're a team that wants to get like an at-large bid coming into this tournament, you need to have played some of the top teams, right? Like if you're not playing a ranked team and you're out there, like you're going to have a hard time if you're not getting a direct bid. So that's why we're seeing those discrepancies. But I do 100% agree with you. Absolutely, we need a 1 through 64 ranking system. No, it's just not good. It's Bush League NCAA. It's truly Bush League.
Yeah, figure that part out. But other than that, this bracket, this whole tournament is a pretty darn good product, and it's very fun to watch. And we really encourage you, especially when the Final Four comes around. We'll talk about it in a couple of weeks to preview it and react to it. That is amazing volleyball in an amazing atmosphere. So we're going to cover the tournament over the next couple of weeks here on the show. But put it on your radar and watch it if you can. We'll try and help you out in the Discord.
Let's go to the Final Four. Let's go to a live show from the Final Four.
Let's go. I think it's in Omaha, if I remember right. What they always do is they put the AVCA convention, which Everett said is the American Volleyball Coaches Association. They have a big convention every December where every volleyball coach from all over the country gets there, and then they have the NCAA Final Four there, which is awesome because you have thousands and thousands of volleyball knowledgeable butts in seats, and it creates an amazing atmosphere. So they do a good job with that. Yeah, maybe we can get ourselves there. That'd be fun.
Anyone want to sponsor us?
We're waiting. Our DMs are open. Our DMs are open. Let us know if you can bring us to Omaha, that would be amazing. Or if you are a fan of the show and you want to help us produce some content, get in our DMs on Instagram or at 9x9 volleyball. Last but not least, join the Volleyball Source Discord. A lot going on. Just get in there. That's where it's all happening.
That should be a no-brainer at this point. It's a constant, like, I don't even. It's its own entity. Like, we have no control over it. Like, that's it's after number one thing we need is a producer for the show. Number two, we might need to start paying some mods because we might need some mods for the show. Find love on the best dating site. Woohoo! Let's go.
Did we get spammed?
We did just get spammed.
I love it when this happens.
But truly though, because I love how, and each little subsection has just created its own little identity and culture too. I love it. It's a great spot. But also, if you're watching this damn video still now, like the damn video. Like you watch the whole thing. We're at the end now. We're about to sign off. Just like the damn video, please.
Press the thumbs up button.
We've like had over like hundreds of people tune in on only 8 likes. On the flip side, if you don't like us, tell us why in the chat.
I think we got to get back to assigning people a question that we want them to answer in the comments after the show. And this one is, who do you think will win the NCAA? If you have an NCAA team that you like, if you know anything about the NCAA, even if you don't know anything about the NCAA, look through the bracket. Tell us in the comments after the show is over who you think's going to win. Who's your pick, Everett? Who do you got?
Oh, I'm going Wisconsin again. Absolutely.
Yeah?
I want them to go back, mostly because for a few reasons. First of all, Anna Schmreck, Canadian girl, she's like everything that's happening with the Canadian women's national team, and then you're adding on, she was the MVP of the finals last year. She's like 6'8" and is a former ballerina and moves like a butterfly and stings like a bee. You know, she is fantastic. I want to see them do it again. And especially because all of the drama and all of that bullshit that happened around their team and their championship from last year. Yes. I just want to see them do it again. Like, we don't even need to talk about it. We don't need to bring it up because it's disgusting. It's bullshit that shit even got leaked. But go back there and do it again. Take the same damn picture and shove it into everyone's face, because I think that's fucking awesome.
That would be pretty electric. I will not be picking Texas. I think they're going to choke. I actually would pick them to lose to Georgia Tech in the Sweet 16.
Julia Bergman.
Yep. I think that Nebraska has a low-key decent chance to make the Final Four again. They're in Louisville's quadrant. But my pick is Stanford. I think that Stanford has the easiest road. They have the least road bumps by far in their region. And I think that, so they're on the same side of the bracket as Texas, who I just said I think is going to lose early. So I could see Stanford playing in the final, and I think they'll beat whoever gets there across from them. So Stanford's my pick. Wisconsin's Everett's pick. We'll probably be both dead wrong. We'll see as the tournament goes on.
Caitlin picked Stanford to lose to Kentucky.
Okay. I don't hate that pick. That's the nice thing about, if you're unfamiliar with NCAA sports, when we do these 64 team brackets, the college basketball one is the most famous. It's just chaos. It's utter chaos. There are upsets everywhere. It's crazy stuff all the way around. There's always a couple Cinderella teams. Incredibly fun and difficult to predict. So part of what makes it worth watching. So get in the Discord will help you figure out places to watch it.
Yeah, for sure. And I need to go check if I've burnt my house down. I put my girlfriend's dinner in the oven before the show came on, because I thought she was coming home. She just messaged me that she's not. So see you guys. Bye.
Bye, Everett. I hope you don't have an apartment fire going on. Thanks for watching, boys and girls. We'll see you same time, same place next Tuesday. Peace.